Uh, Now we were done with two of the modules, one of which was, I guess we started off with the performance management and then we moved on to the fault management. So there were certain subcategories which were part of each of these modules. The subcategories individually depends upon the um, factors which are majorly concerned in case of a fault management and performance management scenario. So I guess I do not need to explain these subcategories in detail since these are very well explanatory, and if you have any doubts you could go through them and ask me in any of the class. Okay. So today we'll be moving forward with the next category, which is referred as configuration management. So as the name suggests that the configuration management generally looks upon to the setup of the entire network. So it would not only involve the initial setup of routers, switches, servers, or other pieces of network equipments. However, it would also include the ongoing tracking of any changes into the configuration of the system. So, for example, if I say that what is the current status of this network, how are the routers, the servers, and the switches initially configured, and how are they behaving? Along with them, it would also keep track of any of the functional changes into those components. So that is why I said that it would, along with the initial setup of these equipments, it would also look into the fact that the ongoing tracking of any changes into the configuration of the system is there or not. Now, because the configuration issues are one of the major causes of the uh, failures into the organizations, we need to have effective tools and best practices to address every aspect of the configuration management system. So, how would this be done is that you would, similar to the fault and the performance management scenario, you will be having the monitoring and the control section. So we'll say that there is a crucial part of monitoring and recording into the configuration adjustments that occur involving the network hardware and software. So here, in case of a configuration management, we are not just concerned with the hardware setup. Along with that, we'll also be looking into the software components of the network. So, for example, if I say that uh, when we are creating a newer network, what we'll do, we'll create a document which states that these are the type of routers installed. These are the OS which are present into these routers or into these servers. So this is an initial documentation which is required. Now your network managers would use this initial document and monitor any changes if there are into these system. These changes which are being monitored, these are generally monitored manually. So you will have a manual monitoring. Okay. Now, when you are having a manual monitoring, it is keeping track of all of these configuration. Now, since there can be n number of hardwares into your system, these hardwares monitoring would be an integrate and it would be referred as a cumbersome task. Also, the resources would be larger. So this entire process of manually monitoring would be an inefficient process. So what would be done is that an alternate for this can be I can choose a software mechanism which only considers the configuration management scenario. So if I want to summarize this entire thing once again, what would I say? In case of an entire configuration management system, you can have a software part as well as a hardware part. In case of a hardware part, if I only have configuration in each assessment, I would only keep track of the initial setup. The initial setup tracking can be done by creating a document corresponding to those. Had there been any changes which are only identified when I am monitoring the initial setup. Now, if I monitor this initial setup manually, this would be an integrate task. So that is why you can have a software component as well, which will keep track of the entire configuration or the infrastructure of the system. Clear? So the section over here says that first is a device configuration. So this device configuration majorly involves, let's say we are talking about the routers and we are talking about the servers. So what can be done? You can have this configuration setup in case of this transmission medium. You can have in case of the infrastructure establishment. So you are having choice of correct cabling, what connectors are you having, what are the sort of interrupts your server is able to handle, what are the sort of interrupts your router is able to handle, how are you mapping the input output addresses at the routers end. So all of this information which can be controlled locally into the system can be documented. Okay. Now, considering the other part, which says that the device configuration can also be done remotely. When would this case arise? The device configuration which is done remotely will be a case where we are considering that there are multiple routers. You have a centrally controlled system which is regulating the data flow in all of these routers. So you can either enable or disable certain ports. You can forward or redirect the packets depending upon what router is functioning properly or what router is behaving in a regular manner or in an abnormal manner. So all of these things can be done remotely. The next section is that you are also concerned with network configuration. So both of these device configuration and network configurations would be considered as the documentation aspects. So here as well, we are talking about the capacity management, which is critical to have a sufficient capacity. So this thing can be considered as a automated configuration. So you would be having the cases where using the DHCP to configure the IP addresses.
Ma'am, verifying the user is authentication and authorization is kind of an access which is provided to them. जैसे हम लोग WhatsApp में थोड़े ही अमाउंट का डेटा शेयर कर सकते हैं, जो प्रीमियम को होता है वो हमको नहीं होता है लाइक दैट, एंड जो हम लोग OTP से वेरीफाई करते हैं डेट इज अस, तो वो हमारा ऑथेंटिकेशन होता है.
See, authentication majorly involves two processes. सबसे पहला है identifying the user and then validating what the user claim to be. ठीक है, तो आप कैसे वेरीफाई करते हो? कैसे वेरीफाई करते हो?
हम OTP से करते हैं या फिर कोई भी कैप, मतलब कोई भी टेस्ट या फिर जैसे
हाँ,
डॉक्यूमेंट्स पे.
हाँ, अगर मैं बात करूं कि हम बायोमेट्रिक ऑथेंटिकेशन की बात कर रहे हैं, ठीक है? So for biometric authentication, the first and foremost thing which needs to be done is that I need to have that particular database corresponding to that particular individual. So collecting or having the database corresponding to a user would be referred as identifying or identification. everyone has this biometric fingerprint. Okay, this is the identification. Next process which would come in authentication is I need to validate what that person is claiming. Okay, so while doing a biometric authentication, at some instance the user would have given any biometric data. Now, when you are going for marking your attendance, you'll mark your biometric. The given input as of now will be compared with the stored input, which is corresponding to your data. If both of these match, then only you will be referred as an authenticated user. Okay? तो क्या हुआ जब हम ऑथेंटिकेशन की बात किए, यू आर कंसिडरिंग टू थिंग्स, वन इज आइडेंटिफाइंग एंड द अदर वन इज validating. Fine. Next comes is authorization. Now authorization would come after authentication. So normally we are saying that authorization happens after a user's identity has been successfully authenticated. Okay, so this authorization would come in context to the privileges. Fine. तो example क्या हुआ, मैं I logged on into the banking system. I gave my login ID, I gave my password. If both matched with the database of the bank जो मेरे login ID के correspondingly stored था, then I will be given access. It would be referred as I am I have been authenticated by the bank. Now, when I have been authenticated, I would be doing, let's say, transactions. When I'm doing the transaction, if I have the privilege of doing transaction, I would be referred as an authorized user for performing transactions. Clear? I hope it is clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Next, we have these things, which is firewalls, IDS, and notification of attempted breaches. So the first two, firewalls and IDS, normally work on the concept of monitoring. How is it done? The firewalls and IDS are keeping track of every packet which flows inside and outside the network. Now, each packet, or let's say n number of packets which are being flown into the network, are compared with a template. What is that template? That template would have the policies for the packets which are flowing into the network. Any violation in these policies or any violation in the packet which is not according to these policies will be considered as a spurious packet, and the possible action would be taken by the firewalls and the intrusion detection system. Similar things can happen at node level as well as at the network level. Okay, the last thing is notification of attempted breaches. So this entire thing is the reaction mechanism or the action mechanism. So once the intrusion or any possible defect is identified into the system, your system may either behave in a reactive manner or it can behave in a proactive manner, whatever way it is trained to be, in order to have a better security management scenario. Okay. Now this entire security management system is kind of very crucial depending upon the users who are there and depending upon the hardware which those particular users are accessing. So it is very intricate to manage security module at a wholesome end. So what is being done is, in order to have this management scenario in context to security being done, there were multiple levels introduced into the simple network management protocol. So initially, what was our focus? Initially, only our focus would have been just to deploy a particular network and let the communication establish. But at a later stage, when we were done with the communication, we moved on to the next part that we also need to address some other issues. Let's say we need to address the performance, we need to address the faults which are occurring into the system. So we moved on to a newer version. Next, we identified that the packets are flowing without a proper valid IP addresses as well. So there were other security modules embedded into the system, which led to the development of multiple versions of SNMP. So it's obviously visible over here that says that SNMP v1 has very little security. SNMP v3 has lots of security built in. So whatever versions we have till now, in case of an SNMP SNMP, we are having quite a substantial amount of security factors embedded in with the existing protocol. So these are the basic subcategories which I guess you can go through and study. These are very well explanatory. So the final thing which comes in a network management system is accounting. So it is saying that the information which is corresponding to the network resources or the usage of the resources obviously accounts to certain cost. So there needs to be a cost management as well, along with the introduction of various factors which can increase the performance, which can increase the security, or which can handle the fault. So that normally can be, it can be said that it's important to recognize the trends that indicate inefficiencies that might be caused by configuration issues or some any other error. So for the larger enterprises, when we are talking about the documenting of these units and the users are consuming the entire bandwidth. So it is very crucial to justify whether it is relevant for the network or whether it is relevant for the business operations or not. So therefore, it was considered that you'll have a one dedicated system which would deal with the entire cost issues referred as accounting management. Okay, so these are the subcategories which talks about gather network device utilization data, build users of network resources, use and accounting management tools. So these tools could either be for accessing the data or these can be for addressing the fault issues or keeping track of the histories within the users, keeping track of history of a particular resource, whether it was used by a particular user or whether it was used by any simultaneous resources as well. So these are the categories, and so these are the 5 points within which the entire network management architecture is present. Now, along with these, there are certain setup mechanisms that how would you or where would you deploy certain cases so that it is very efficient. So here you have a figure which shows that this is a configuration of a network architecture which has a NMS module referred as Network Management System. So this thing includes all of those 5 modules which you have studied till now. So let's say this is a scenario where you have LAN 1, LAN 2 and LAN 3, or you could refer it as node 1, node 2 or node 3. Now, what is this architecture? Is this a centralized or it's a distributed? This is a centralized configuration. Why do we refer it as a centralized configuration? Because you have a common network link. Within this particular network link, you are having 3 nodes connected. And all of these 3 nodes are governed by only one network management system. Okay, so here, even if there are 2, 3 LANs, but you have only one backbone node which has a single unit of network management system running. Any complications or any monitoring of the data would only be done by this particular NMS system. Whatever monitoring has to be done, this NMS would monitor individually nodes 1, node 2 and node 3. Any action has to be taken in response to those monitoring. This NMS would take those actions on these individual LAN 1, LAN 2 and LAN 3. The advantages and the disadvantages of certain scenario. Any advantages do you have for this scenario? Or it is only disadvantages? Anybody who would like to answer? Bharat? Hello, am I audible? Bharat, are you there? Chandra Prakash, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm. Can you tell me the advantages of having such centralized configuration?
Because it's connected to main main network.
You
So
be a little loud.
yes, ma'am. Because all the nodes are connected through the main network, so, then they can easily access the data.
Then they can be easily.
Mm, They can easily access and they feel less traffic.
Okay. Anything else?
No,
Samar?
Yes, ma'am.
Any advantage of such scenario?
Data recovery.
Data recovery. Why? Give me a detailed explanation.
There are not many NMS, so the collection of data is easy from one MS rather than distributed.
Instead of saying data recovery, you can say that it would be much more synchronized. You do not have to communicate with multiple NMS to find out whether the status is correct or not.
Yes, data. Yes.
Okay. So
Okay.
the synchronization is much more easier in case of a centralized configuration. But the disadvantage obviously is that if your NMS fails, that is, if your NMS fails, the entire architecture or the entire configuration would be of no use. So it's a single point of failure. When NMS fails, no communication can be established between these nodes or nor any tracking of the resources could be done. So the alternate configuration can possibly be a distributed configuration. So this is a diagram of a distributed configuration. What is done over here, you are having a backbone NMS, but yes,
Ma'am, please can I give examples for centralized configuration?
yes, I'll give you the example. Let me explain this first, I'll give you. Okay, so what was I saying? I was saying this that you have a NMS. So if I see this entire picture as a overall view, this is still centralized, but it is made distributed in a way that every node which is present into uh, this figure has an individual NMS as well. Okay, what would happen over here? We were considering that in case of a centralized, if the NMS fails, there would be no communication or there would be no status of the resources which is used by these particular nodes, or there would not be any correct status communicated. So what would happen is that this particular NMS is still there. However, individual monitoring of the nodes can be done by a sub-network management system, which is part of these nodes. So this fails, even if this fails, the individual NMS which is part into of these nodes would still be working, which can keep track of the resources or the management scenario within these particular nodes. भले ही overall network में you will not get the exact information, but the internal nodes would be working in a correct manner. Coming back to the centralized configuration. If this is a centralized configuration, so here what was said that we were having all of these 5 functions deployed at this place only. Okay, so let's say you have one server which is behaving as a network management server. So your network manager is present over that place. Your server monitors all of the LANs with which it is connected to. Your server also keeps tracks of the resources which are being used by all of these particular nodes. Okay, and your server is itself the only unit which gives access of certain shared resources within these nodes, node 1, node 2 and node 3. Okay, consider this backbone node which is written as a webmail server. Okay, so now this webmail server can be used by all of these 3 nodes. There can be requests sent in by all of these 3 nodes to access this webmail server, but the server allocation is regulated in the hands of this NMS. Fine. If this NMS fails, then what would happen? Whatever requests are being generated from these nodes would be sent on to this webmail server, but you would not be very sure that whose request would be addressed first or which particular node would be given access to this webmail server, because there can be a case that a particular node sends in multiple number of packets to this webmail server, so that the packets which are being sent by these particular nodes are not accepted at this end. Clear? So there would be a mismanagement deployed at this webmail server. Therefore, there needs to be a situation where there are individual NMS into these nodes, making it as a decentralized or a distributed configuration, where if a particular node is sending or increasing the traffic, the performance management system which is present into that particular node comes into the play, and then the entire backbone is still active, even if there isn't any NMS which is present at the backbone. Clear? Any doubt? Who asked me the question? Is your doubt clear? Any more doubts? Shall I go ahead?
Yes, ma'am.
So we read on to what is there in the slide. So coming to this distributed configuration, we said that each LAN has its own management station, fine, and a simple NMS. one management station or NMS manages the backbone and coordinates with the local NMS. The advantage is that it's robust in nature. Also, it can handle any sort of failure. The disadvantage is that it's complexity and coordination. So complexity कैसे आएगा? You are having multiple NMS. ऐसे करके you will have multiple nodes. हर में इतने सारे NMS introduce कर देंगे. In that case, it would be much more complex to manage the all network managers and communicate parallel informations to the one which is connected to the backbone. So this might lead to the coordination issues. Okay. This is a network management architecture. So for this case, consider the scenario. I'll tell you what are these individual components. Okay. So this is an agent. What are these agents? These are the software modules that compile the information about the managed devices in which they are present. Okay, I'll simplify it. These are certain, let's say these are certain nodes, N1, N2 and N3. In these nodes, you have a component which is referred as agent. This is a software module which is present into your particular node. What would it store or what would it have? It would have a summarized information of what all devices is this particular node communicating, or what all resources is this particular node communicating. Okay, what is the role of this particular agent? We said that in a network management scenario there would be individual components part of nodes जिसके basis से network manager अपने आप से communicate कराएगा. So the status of each node has to be communicated to an entity. Let's say it's a network manager. At the network manager end, you will have to have a management entity which decides what action has to be taken place. Okay, so these are the agents which are part of your nodes. These agents generally, which are in terms of the software module, will have the information about the managed devices where it is present. So this is the managed devices. So N1 is present, agent is present in this N1. An agent would communicate the information to management entity about this particular N1. Clear? Next, what do you have over here? Which is, let's say, proxy. So these proxies are those entities that provide management information on behalf of other entities. So these are other nodes as well. This would somehow be used by these particular nodes. So proxies are the parallel management entities that provide management information on behalf of other entities. So you can say that these are the versions of SNMP. Okay, so you can have SNMP V1, V2 and V3 present over here into a particular device. Any doubt till now?
No, ma'am.
Okay. What would happen? These informations would be communicated. Further, any decision which is taken place by these, which is decided upon these management entity in collaboration with what all information has been communicated via these agents and proxies would take place into this entire architecture. Okay, so what can be the request and replies? For instance, the request and replies are alerts. So upon receiving these alerts, the management entities are programmed to react by executing one or several group of actions. They can send those actions on the basis of notifications, They can send those action on the basis of events which needs to be done, or what they'll do is they'll log the events which had happened into the system, or they'll ask for a system shutdown, or they'll ask for automatic attempts at the system repair. So it is something which is referred as polling. So what would these management entities do? These can poll the end stations to check whether the values which are being received by them from these agents are valid or not. Because see, agents are also part of nodes itself now. So had it been a case that some of the agent by themselves are sending random packets to the management entity, ऐसा हो सकता है कि किसी एजेंट के लिए one particular process is referred as a valid process for, and for any parallel different agent it is referred as a spurious process. So when they are communicated to this management entity, your management entity can himself need to figure out that which one is correct. So in that case, what can happen is management entity can himself re-verify the information and send certain packets to these agents to find out whether the information or the values which are received by him is correct or not. And then depending upon the threshold or depending upon the number of responses or the request received, your management entity takes the decision, which can either be to repair the system or immediately shut down the system. Clear? Okay, so we'll start SNMP. So we'll start this in next class. Okay, any doubt for today's?
Ma'am, the system that you have in the universities, is it a central distribution or a system? It's a centralized distribution.
No, it's a distributed, it's not central. You will have you will have different hierarchies that would depend upon. Over here, it's not central, it's distributed. So every block we have a central server, but that central server is further connected to different servers. So even if one server, the other server would work for a different block.
Okay, ma'am. So, ma'am, in that, if you want to save an information to all the nodes, you can do that.
Yes.
If you want to save an information in one node, you can access it from the rest of the nodes.
From the rest of the nodes. So that happens normally in case of remote configuration. No? If you're accessing any host remotely as well, that would normally consider it as a distributed. Any doubt? Any other doubt? Who all are there? Everybody is there into the class.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
How do you know?
Yes,
Acha,
ma'am.
14. Okay. Okay. Fine. There are some students who have not turned in their assignment. There are 5 students who have not turned in. Bharat, Chandra Prakash, Aman, and Siddharth. You have not turned in your assignment.
Yes, ma'am.
Today we'll submit it.
Fine.
Excuse me, ma'am. Hello.